So this video is a story time that I mentioned I'll make a video about in the last video. Using that sleeping, or I told the chick this, and I love what she said. She called it a pre-dream. You know, like the method. She was like, "This seems like it's a pre-dream," and I was like, "Yo, that sounds so dope. I'ma steal that." And I wasn't lying. So let's call it a pre-dream. So in this pre-dream, I had done it, but I didn't think I was doing it. I'm here with my dog. Neil, come here, boy. Come here. Neil. There he is. My bad. I'm not doing that again. But in this pre-dream, what happens is, there was this new chick at college, so I really wanted to get to know her because everyone was just in awe of her beauty. You know how, the feminine energy is, it's super magnetic. So she was super attractive, super magnetic, and she got my attention immediately. She was just heads and shoulders above the rest in terms of the physical, because she was tall, a little taller than me, and thick, so thick. And I'm not a tall guy, but I just get attracted when she's built different, So what I did was, I woke up a little too early for college hours. So after waking up, I decided, let me wake and bake, because back then I still used to smoke some weed. I stopped smoking now, firstly because of the discoloration on my lips, and then secondly, it was just taking too much of my focus. Every time I did something, I always started getting high right afterwards, and I felt like there was a bit of an addiction creeping in. So I guess it was GMO weed. So yeah, the next time I'm hitting it has to be organic, man, and it has to benefit me more ways than it takes from me, such as like financially and all that, because any habit can get expensive. So what I did was, I hit the spliff, and after I hit the spliff, I went back to sleep. But then I didn't go back to sleep intentionally. What I did was, I hit the spliff, and then I listened to Jam with some earphones, different ones, but earphones nonetheless. Listen to Jam by Wizkid, and that's a romantic yet vibey song. So I was bumping that and jazzy. So I needed that as a meditation, background music. So I listened to that while imagining me talking to her, because even that was far-fetched because I had not spoken to her. So I just picture myself talking to her, and I'm listening to Jam while closing my eyes, and then I fell asleep. And in falling asleep, I dipped into the sleep realm via me having that as the last thing on my mind, which was her and me talking, And the reason why this was far-fetched, my college is built like a hospital, so it's really long, And she was downstairs all the time. All her classes were downstairs. I was in the middle all the time. The only time we'd see each other there would be like on extremely rare occasions. So what happened was, I fell asleep talking to her. Then I woke up and I realized it was time to really get ready to go to college, because classes was about to start. So I got dressed, I washed up, got dressed, and I saw my calculator sitting where I normally put it, but I didn't take it. Now in my head, I thought I took it after having seen it, because I normally put it right in my bag, because I knew we had a financial period as the first period. So I get ready, I go, I leave. After I leave, I get to, where do I go? I go to school, I get to college, and it's the first period. And then I realize in the financial period that my calculator is not in my bag, like I thought it was. So I immediately asked the lecturer to go to the bathroom. At that time, I'm going there to go look for a calculator. So I'm not even going to the bathroom, I'm going around college asking everyone for a calculator. So I do that, and after I do that, I see my hospitality bros, and seeing how they're doing hospitality, it's very rare they bring calculators. So they were like, nah, we don't have it, bro. So I'm like, no worries, thank you, guys. I go to the cafeteria because it was the next closest place. As soon as I get to the cafeteria, what I see is I legitimately see her sitting right by the door with her calculator right on the table. Already in my head, I'm like, okay, this is some wild shit for this to happen like this. But then I realized that I'm not talking to her yet. So I say hi. I'm like, hi, how you doing? She's like, no, she's doing okay. And then I'm asking closer, I say, so the calculator, which is, can I borrow your calculator for one period? And then she's like, yeah, sure, no problem. And then she's like, but how are you gonna give it back though? I'm like, this time I know exactly how, but then I've been consuming too much Red Bull content, so that shit had me so confused, almost like lacking action. You, it's a good boy. Yeah, my dog be eating shit sometimes, you know. So point is, I tell her, what do I say? I said to her, I don't know. That time I don't want to say, let me get your number, I'll call you, because Red Bull content told me don't ask for the number, let her be the one who initiates. So then I just sit down acting confused. I'm like, okay, how about we meet at the same place during break? And so she's like, nah, I might not be here during break. I'm like, yo, you can just be here then. But then I obviously don't say that. I'm just like, okay, cool, let me think of something else. And then she says, let me get your number, I'll call you. I'm like, cool. She takes my number down, and after she takes my number, I expect her to call. First and second break, she doesn't. So I ended up using a calculator. So she doesn't. And after she doesn't, fuck, these people are just making a lot of noise behind me. So after I realized she isn't going to do that, I'm like, okay, cool, I wonder how I'm going to get her calculator back. So I leave. After I do my things, I have to go do something at a certain office. After I do my things, I leave college. And as I leave, I actually see her on the way home. And then we end up talking, and then she ends up shouting at me about how I gave her the wrong number, and she's just going on at me like a chick that wants me. So that shit had me realize it all came full circle what I had slept thinking. So at the time I thought it was the weed. I was like, damn, this weed's so good, it helps to manifest. And I know a lot of people think the same thing. But thanks to this method, I realized it has nothing to do with the weed, but everything to do with the intention and the vision that you had in your mind just prior to falling asleep. Weed might have helped with the meditation and as well as the falling into that state, that deep state of Zen and the falling asleep state, because it takes you to a different realm. So I say that to say the weed played its part, but I've done this method and I've brought things into existence apart from that ghost story I just said. So yeah, long story short, we got each other's numbers, we were cool, but it came to nothing. She was super flaky, and not just super flaky, but she's not a flaky chick. She is, but then she's not when it comes to things that she likes. I just didn't have enough game to realize that, and I'm happy I didn't, because at the end of the day, what she likes and what I like are two different things. She's into clubbing and partying, which is understandable. Every hot chick, okay, not every, but most hot chicks with amazing bodies are into that, because she had the biggest ass with the nicest waist, and she just had amazingly gorgeous proportions. Still have a number, and she agreed to even go to the gym with me, but I don't think I want that baggage. I'd rather go to the gym with a chick that I know is down for me in a real way, not in a way that just benefits her, you know? So we're just not on the same frequency at all. The way she just was brought up and how I was, way too different. And I'm not mad at her or at that. That's okay, that's all good. But I just said that to give you a story time of how I practically applied this method and how it truly works. And it works with anything. Even, anything, counting cash while you're falling into that state, and the cash will come. Maybe through a way where like you have to do some sort of piece job or whatever your profession is, or whatever you're skilled at. Someone might ask you to do something and offer you to pay you the exact amount that you were counting in your head. as long as you feel ownership of the money. Because if you don't feel the ownership of it being yours, you'll just get to be in locations where you see people count up cash, or you'll get someone to ask you to count up their money for them just to make sure that it's a certain amount. So it's all in how you apply it, but it works 100% of the time. Super effective, and obviously wish I knew earlier, you know, because I actually applied it as a child when I was 7, because I was in grade 1. Because I remember grade 1 was when I had my first girlfriend, and she was like beautiful, Asian looking, but not Asian type chick. She was like, I think you call it Arab, but Muslim, you know, like, you know, that type of chick, but then with like a lot of Asian looking features, like the eyes and the skin tone. But what happened was, I had prayed. I remember, I don't know what had me wanting a girlfriend at such a young age, but probably the influence around me. So I wanted a girlfriend in grade 1. I prayed on it, and I like literally kneeled on my knees and covered myself with the blanket and prayed for a girlfriend. And in doing that, I was tired, right? So because it was at night, so I'd fallen asleep right after. And in falling asleep, that was the last thing on my mind. So in my head, I thought that's when I started believing Christianity was real, because my mom was a Christian, my family were Christians, and they taught me how to pray like that, right? So because we used to pray together before I started praying alone. So I thought it was Christianity that brought my prayer to fruition, you know, or God or Jesus, whatever. But it wasn't that actual method of meaning, but it was the process of me having it as the last thought. And I, as a kid, you have a childlike belief, meaning you just trust whatever you are told. So I had that belief that that's true. So then I slept with that intention of, after having prayed for the girlfriend, God's going to give it to me. And then God had provided, like in that same week, if not next day actually, it feels like the next day, that chick randomly blew me a kiss while I was standing alone, and she just happened to be outside the class. I was outside the class. We were just getting something out our bags, and I just saw her. I looked at her, and then she blew me a kiss, and I was like looking around, like, she just blew a kiss at me. So she was choosing. So my point of this is just that it works, you know, 100% of the time. Other examples I can't bring forth to you guys because they're still on their way, whether it's paperwork or everything having its season and its due time, divine timing. So it's no rush, but I'm just letting you know this thing works 100% of the time. And I do like read a lot of the Bible, and if you want to use a lot of Christianity, there's still aligns with Christianity, you know, with Jesus being inside of you, hence the kingdom of God is in you, you know, and and Jesus being crucified is pretty much your root chakra being, you killing that urge, that animalistic side of you to get to your higher self, which is, you know, God, unlocking God, you know. But it gets deeper. I suggest you do your own research, just as I have, and I do this research for myself, and obviously to help others, but not to the point where I want to push my spiritual or whatever ideas to you. It's up to you to choose what you want. All of my friends don't have to believe in what I believe in. I actually respect you more for you to come up with what you saw works for you, you know, and be an independent thinker. But this thing is really powerful. I'm cutting the message short now, like I'm done now. I'm done speaking. Thank you for listening, and let me know if it works for you, you know.